God might be. But I believed in the power of sacrament in very much the way I do today. Not as a Catholic, but as a human open to the truth that something can be made sacred by the attention we grant it. And so one day in 5th grade, when it was my turn, I stepped into the narrow confessional and knelt. The room smelled faintly of urine, for it was rumored that Mikey Roberts had been so scared at his own confession the month previous, he'd peed his new corduroy pants. I ignored this and readied myself for my impending purity. "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned," I whispered as I made the sign of the cross. I could see Father Sandergeld's large nose from my side of the grate, red from his daily motorcycle rides before the advent of sunscreen, but also, we all assumed, from the drink that kept him company most nights. He leaned his head into his hand, pretending, as was the custom, not to see who was there through the insufficient screen. "Yes, my child?" "I am often mad at my mother." Father sighed. What sins does a 5th grader really have? He must have heard this a million times. "Be patient with your mother. She loves you very much." "I am mean to my sister." "She is younger than you." I knew he could see me. How else would he know I was the eldest Haupt sister? "It is up to you to set a good example. For your penance, say 10 Hail Marys." Things were going my way. I loved the Hail Mary. To me, Mary was a mother goddess who appeared to orphan children in poor countries, who in her guise as the Lady of Guadalupe threw tropical roses upon the impoverished cloak of Juan Diego, though it was winter, whose own cloak shimmered with stars. She protected all of nature. I longed for her to appear to me, and often wept that she did not. Praying to her came naturally. "I will say 20, I announced fervently, causing Father to sigh again. 10 will suffice. "There is one more thing." I loved having a secret, but I yearned to tell someone, and I knew of no one else who would not intrude once they heard. Still, I was a little frightened. Maybe this really was a sin. One holy Catholic Church, the creed proclaimed, after all. Perhaps Father Sandergeld would be angry, or tell my mother, or demand that I stop altogether. I summoned my courage. "I have another church." There was a long pause, and I sensed this was new territory for the priest. He didn't seem to know what to say. But finally he lifted his head. "Lyanda," he ventured, giving up the pretense of anonymity altogether. "What is this church?" I told him everything in one long breath, then gasped, "Do I have to tell my mom? Or anyone?" Father put his head back in his hand. From practice or exasperation, I could not tell. "God knows all you do." I'd already learned this in catechism class and nodded in the darkness. "I suppose that is enough," he mused. "But you'd better add an Our Father to your penance." I emerged joyous, radiant as an angel, the sacrament in full force. I did not give a backward glance to my suffering 5th grade colleagues who were dreading their turn in the confessional. When I got home, I went straight to my other church. Behind the house where I grew up, there was a vacant lot covered in tall brown grasses. And beyond that, there was a wooded canyon with narrow trails among Douglas firs, western red cedars, big-leaf maples, and all manner of ferns and mosses, leading down to a stream called, like many streams with a forgotten history in this country, Mill Creek. Over-influenced by Anne of Green Gables, I did not call the creek by its map name, but by what I believed in my romantic young heart to be its soul name. And it was there, on the still edges of the stream of sparkling stones, that I discovered Frog Church. It was a small and secret church with few requirements for its single human attendee, none of them difficult for an introverted child who carried only an apple and a sketch pad that doubled as a diary. Rules: no shoes, quiet always, drawing and writing aloud if they did not cause disturbance, as wild animal visitations were the most sacred treasure. The longer I stayed and the quieter I was, the more creatures would wander through.